most of my resume, I would say, is probably classical work, lots of Shakespeare. And so I think there's a natural connection with what I've done and with Oregon Shakespeare and when I met Bill and we started talking, I think that's what drew him to me. And um, I've done a lot of work. I do a lot of sort of bare bones kind of work, particularly with Shakespeare. I've done a lot of work where with reduced casts, just a few people, three, four, five, doing a full Shakespeare play. So I've done that a lot. Um, and that can be quite handy when in terms of economics, when you're trying to program a show and you need less actors. But I I went to Trinity Rep for my master's degree, and I again most of my work has been classical. I have a company that I formed in New York. I live in New York, and I formed a company about 4 years ago called Bedlam. Um, we mostly do classic work, and that also has been a lot of reduced cast stuff. And and I guess the idea for me has always been to try to take a play that's been done many times and look at it differently. I suppose that's what we all try to do, um, but in a real text-based way. What's cool about Beauty and the Beast is that it's an old story. We know there have been many iterations of it, movies, the television show, of course, this animated film, and Disney's version. But the whole thing starts off with a guy or a person coming out and telling us the story, laying it out for us. Well, once upon a time, there was this prince, and we set up the curse. But I think looking at it like an old story and telling it in a new way is what I do, and so this would be no different. I'm hoping that we find ways to use more music than is even there. I feel like music, obviously it's a musical, it's a huge part of it. It's sort of scene song, scene song. I feel like the music could help us more than it is already. The music's beautiful, and I think that it lends itself to helping it be more magical in places where you need that. Obviously, it's a great. I mean, it's a huge component in the storytelling itself. Obviously, when you have a musical and so many numbers, I think there's like 23 or 4 or 5 numbers. More than what's on in the film, of course. The Disney musical on stage has a lot more songs and things. But what's beautiful about them, of course, I think is what they is the songs are a real window into the relationships. The song that Belle and her father sing to each other in Act One is beautiful. It's unbelievable. All about being an outsider and how they're outsiders in the town and in their community, but that's what they love about each other, and they wouldn't have it any other way. And they're proud of each other and in what they and what it is when you're a child who only has one parent, and it's the father, and he's kind of weird and nobody likes him and gets him, and has an odd job. He's an inventor. It's a really cool story, and I think it's so. But that song they sing to each other is so important. The fact that it comes out in song. So I'm hoping that we find ways to help and sort of fold in the music a little bit more, so that the kind of the whole thing is more of a fine fabric of storytelling devices. I think this show is really. I think that the show can absolutely be for everyone. I think it's for adults and kids alike. I think it's an old story. It's a beautiful story that resonates on all kinds of levels, and I think with any age group. I think that because it's a magical story and it falls into the realm of fairy tales, that we naturally think of it as a children's story. Um, and I think that the magic of the storytelling and the ideas that are in that story, I think will absolutely entertain kids. But when you look at it on a deeper level, why are these people transforming from human beings into everyday objects? Why are they losing what's human about themselves? We as adults get that. That will resonate with adults. And I think that that my job then would be to aim the story at all age groups very, very purposefully, so that I can bring that out. And I think I really see it as a story for everybody, for all ages. I think it can be entertaining on that level. If you look at Beauty and the Beast for what it is, from beginning to end, what the story is and what it holds, if I were going to aim that story only at kids, then there are moments and events in the play that you sort of have to glaze over a bit, or you're not necessarily going to dive down very deeply into certain places, because kids aren't going to get it. They're not necessarily, they haven't experienced enough life to get it. Thank goodness for them. And I saw that as a sort of taking the story and you kind of fold it up into and you make it a bit smaller, because you're really trying to hit the kind of just the main points of the story. So on a basic level, as a parable, they get it. They get good and evil. They get good and bad. That if you do a bad thing, you can sometimes be punished by that, and you pay the consequences. You can, as a kid, I think, grasp those very basic lessons in life. We get, falling in love with the beast, but seeing the inner beauty. I think kids get a lot of that. And I'm not underestimating by any means what they can pick up on and what they won't. I think in order to make it entertaining for the masses, then it's about taking the thing I just explained, this accordion, like if this were the map of the story, and just unfolding that a bit and looking in and diving deeper down into each of those events, moments that happen between two adults on stage. There's nuance there, and I think we have to give those moments time, so that we see something more going on as an adult, and then that can entertain us, because it doesn't go from song to song to song and event to event to event, but we open those up and look inside a little more and dig around.